All right, hi folks, we're back again, Billy and Dick show. We're here on Good Friday to pre-wish you a very merry Easter. And anyway, we have 4 wines. You know, normally we have 3, but since we changed our shipping schedule, you're getting 4 wines in your next shipment. And they're 4 very, very special wines. Billy?
It's so nice to be here instead of at Stations of the Cross tonight, where I spent my youth. We're going to dive right into these. It's a great, great offering. We've got 2 Pinots from Foxen and the 2 7200 blends, kind of our Merlot-centric blends from the Shack. But let's dive into Solomon Hills. Solomon Hills is a special place. It's our coolest site. It's on 101 and Clark Avenue in Orcutt. Foggy mornings, windy afternoons. The vines get pretty battered, which is okay as long as they're in good shape. But they get battered during the day from the wind. So they don't have a long work day. Leaf cupping, foggy in the morning, they're not working, sun comes out, then the wind starts blowing. So they don't have a very long work day, but they have a long work year, a long work season. And these wines, both Pinot Noir, we don't make a Chardonnay from there, but the Solomon Hills wines tend to have this great salinity issue with them. And I really like that, especially with food pairing. They're always light and delicate, low yielding.
When were they planted, Billy?
They were planted around the same time Block 43 was planted, maybe a little bit sooner. So I would say about 2000.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
2000. And, you know, this is old ocean floor. So very sandy soils. It's like going to the beach, but you're walking in rows of Pinot Noir. It's actually really special. So, farmed by the same crew that farms all of our blocks at Via Nacida. And it's
so what are you getting other than salinity?
It's our most delicate Pinot Noir. And I said that, what did I say? I get a lot of saltwater taffy, strawberry saltwater taffy. It reminds me of being in Morro Bay as a kid and going to the saltwater taffy store out on the end of the Embarcadero, because it's always got that saltwater deal. It's always more delicate than the rest of our Pinot Noirs, okay? Because it's grown in sand. And so the sand doesn't hold much. It doesn't give much terroir like a clay soil or a loam soil would, with more rock cobble.
So how would it compare to Block 43?
No, we can't compare it to Block 43. Block 43 is on a slope. Solomon Hills is gentle sand dunes. This is asking for lighter cuisine.
Like what?
Like what we got tonight.
What is it?
So it's French, the same producer as a Poise, a little more mild.
It's a Poise style, but very mild.
And it goes perfectly. Yeah. So would you compare it to any of the other wines, or is it just totally unique unto itself?
It's incomparable to the rest of our Pinots that are all a little bit more inland or cooler.
And stronger soil.
And stronger soil. deeper soil.
Yeah.
I mean, deeper, not in
Same.
depth, but in
Not
texture.
hydroponically farmed.
In texture.
Well, it's showing really well. And,
really, this would be all over like some kind of salad. Crispy skin salmon salad on greens with maybe a little bit of chev and strawberries, Santa Maria strawberries. It'd be all over that.
yeah.
Nothing too heavy. Any questions out there?
Let's see if we've got some. I don't see any unless, no open questions, unless
Yeah.
Riley sees some.
Okay, but again, on Solomon Hills is something you don't want to sell her for 10 years, sooner than later. It's just it's always kind of, I want to say roppy though, but it always shows itself really early and continues to do that.
It's showing excellently right now.
And we do have, sorry, hi everyone, Riley here in the background. Susan did raise her hand, or the crew with Susan raised their hand. If you could submit your question into the Q&A box or into the chat, we'll get it asked for the guys.
Oh, good. We do have a great question that was emailed in from Doug in Texas in regards to the Pinots, about procuring, how we procure vineyard sites for our Pinots, and are we offered fruit from time to time, and how that works.
We are offered fruit from time to time, and on the other side, we're always searching for great sites for Pinot Noir in the Santa Rita Hills. Santa Maria Valley, there's a little less development going on. So we're pretty locked into where we are in the Santa Maria Valley, but Santa Rita Hills is the never-ending story right now of small vineyards being developed. And I think that when people do plant with the intention of selling some of the fruit, that Foxen is always on their radar and the top of the list. Right now, we're happy with where we are, but we're always looking for other places that we can kind of make and magnify the terroir of the Santa Rita Hills.
Mm-hmm.
I think as Billy's also, most of the Santa Maria Valley has pretty much been planted out, at least in the Pinot Noir developed areas. So it is the Santa Rita Hills where most of the planting activity is going on in our county right now. So that were probably where the opportunities would be.
Much smaller parcels in the Santa Rita Hills. We're just really excited where we are right now, just to be kind of have a home in John Sebastiano Vineyard and in Fe Ciega Vineyard. La Encantada is a kind of a work in progress for us right now. It's been going through some changes, and we really love the site, and we hope to make some more La Encantadas. And
Speaking of that,
this is the 2018, okay, which is, I think, probably one of our best examples of the 2018 vintage. I think it rules our three Santa Rita Hills offerings in 2018 from the vintage, and it's as good as it can be. 18 vintage. I hate to say easy, because the vintage is never easy, but when you don't get any intense heat bombs or PG&E shutoffs or fires or rain, and we get our June pattern in August and September of foggy mornings and nice afternoons. When you wake up and the fog's there in an August or September morning, you know it's going to be a nice day. And there's not a lot of pressure on us to jump and harvest quickly. And it just makes everything go so smooth on the crush pad floor and the processing. It's just, I love vintages like that. And I love vintages like that. And I love after the vintage like that because you've had such a good time making these wines. And you're just kind of relaxing knowing that it's been great.
So Billy, is there any major clonal differences between the two Pinots, or are they both?
Let me see. Solomon is Dijon 115, 667, and Pommard. And it's an acre of each. So we have 3 acres that are side by, boom, 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 all together on this little slope, jackrabbit slope. But Long Cantata, we've got Dijon 115, Dijon 667, Swan clone.
Swan.
And we still had, in 18, we still had Dijon 777, 777. So we have a big mix.
The Swan being one of the oldest identified.
Well, Swan is just, I don't know its history. I just know that Joseph Swan brought it from Burgundy.
There was a suitcase.
Suitcase clone. Yeah. And it seems to be so preferable for us because they're just these little kind of grenades of small berries. And I really like that.
A couple questions that popped up. From Brett Watterson asked if they were to open just one of the bottles tonight, as far as what's singing right now, what would you recommend?
What's for dinner?
Dan. And also cheese pairing for both Pinots. Would you recommend a different cheese for each Pinot?
My ideal pairing is a Plus.
Yeah.
It's a cheese from Burgundy. Pinot Noir is from Burgundy.
So something soft and ripe.
Soft and ripe, yes.
Cow's milk.
Cow's milk, soft, ripe, a little stinky. Pinot Noir has a tendency to be a little stinky sometimes.
What's singing to you tonight so far of the 4 bottles?
I go, and so it's actually nice enough here to grill tonight. I'd just grill some salmon, some arugula, and with something, some kind of seasoning on it or something, and go with the Solomon.
And then Bill Spear asked, how would you contrast your Santa Rita Hills Pinot Noir wines with your Santa Maria? What are the main characteristics?
Okay, Santa Rita, darker, earthier, a little bit deeper. Santa Maria, spicier, more strawberry, more red fruit, and more accessible early on.
Okay. Mike Meyer asked you to repeat again the main difference between the 2 Pinots.
These 2.
These 2?
Yeah.
Okay. What I just said, Santa Maria Valley and Santa Rita Hills, these are telltale differences in both those AVAs. Yes.
I don't think Solomon Hills quite shows the spice as maybe Biennaceto.
Right, you're right.
But definitely it's Santa Maria Valley.
And it's got more of that saline quality, which will be all over any greens or so salmon on a bed of arugula with chev and maybe a little bit of chopped up strawberries. And the Solomon, I think it would be killer tonight.
Right.
I just got my box of Sitka seafood yesterday, so I could do that.
All right. Good question.
So Long Cantata for me, it's a magical place. You have these kind of north sloping mesas that run towards the San Ynez River. And then it's on the west end of what we call the Pinot Bowl. If you read your notes that are in the shipment, I explain about the Pinot Noir Bowl. But then you go up about 300-400 feet, and Faciega's on the other side of the river. But still, Long Cantata and Faciega, two completely different wines. Long Cantata seems to be more kind of above ground driven for all the elements above ground, and Faciega seems to be more earth driven, soil driven. And it's amazing that they're just, I could throw a rock, well, I could throw a rock years back and hit Long Cantata from Faciega.
So what are the general soil and
they're all
differences?
Deep clay loams, some cobble, not a lot of cobble like we see out in Happy Canyon, which I'll talk about with the.
Now Long Cantata was originally planted by Richard Sanford?
In the year 2000,
okay.
Yes.
Really showing pretty. All right. Want to switch over to the blends?
Let's go.
Did that answer
Let's
your
go
question?
to the shack.
Yeah.
Okay, start with the
Pajarito.
Brett Watterson's asking, is the San Ynez River flowing all year?
No. It gets shut down because of Cachuma Lake, and they dam it up. But then by the end of the summer, they have to start releasing for the farmers' rights downstream.
Keep the water level up.
To keep the groundwater up. And when it usually happens in like August to September, and all the kids go nuts because there's a lot of water in the river coming out of the dam, and they all go tubing.
Well, even though they do release water to try to reinforce the groundwater in the valley, I know I had to put my well down another 100 feet this year. So obviously we're seeing the results.
Water's the new gold. It's just what it is. And, okay, Long Cantata Pinot Noir. Frank Ostini, who owns the Hitching Post restaurant in Buellton, does this cold smoke duck breast, and then he finishes it on the grill, and he serves it with an apricot ginger sauce. And that Long Cantata is like a perfect matchup for Frank's dish. Okay, let's move on to the Pajarito 2018, our Petit Verdot Merlot blend. Petit Verdot and Merlot are both from Vogelsang in this vintage.
And while you're talking about that, of the blends, Glenn is asking if any of them are co-fermented and blended later, or blended later.
There's no co-fermentation in any of the 7200 blends. They're all studied for about a year or 18 months, and then we assemble the blends. So we learn their characteristics on their own in barrel and kind of figure out what they're all about, and then we go to blend.
But we are making another Toasted Rope, which is co-fermented.
Toasted Rope is co-fermented, and that's going to be in a shipment later this year.
Yeah.
And it is really good. And that's the 2018 Toasted Rope.
Sounds
For one of the
right.
Toasted Rope, it's roasted slow.
Yes.
In France.
I don't want to say what Andrew Murray said.
No, don't.
Any plans to try any new varietals in general?
Or Petit Verdot.
I don't want to say yes because I'll get hammered about it.
Your marketing team will.
I'm
Petit Verdot.
experimenting with Vermentino this year for the first time. And I'm really excited about that. And it's just going to be a little tiny bit experimentally. I'm a big fan of Vermentino, and this will be my first try, and I'm super excited about it.
Yeah, and that'll be under the 7200 label.
Yeah.
And Riley confirmed it's 2019 on the toasted rope.
Okay, 19.
All right.
Yeah, because in 18 we didn't have any Viognier.
That's right.
That's a picture of our block at Vogelsang of the Merlot, which is the heart and soul of both of these blends. Pajarito, Petit Verdot, Merlot. And if you're ever in Santa Maria on the Orchid side and have an opportunity to go to Chef Rick's, he makes a gumbo called Dickie's Gumbo, named after Dickie Doré. And with this Pajarito, it would be phenomenal. And then any kind, Dick was just in New Orleans, and any of that food there, any of the NOLA food would be all over this Pajarito.
Etouffee, yeah.
Two quick
Jambalaya.
two quick little backtracks. Both from one from Brett Watterson. The best Pinot you've tasted this year, either of you?
The best Pinots I've tasted this year are out of barrel. The 2021 vintage is off the chart.
All right.
And every single Pinot Noir is just so good. 21 is,
You'll have to wait.
And then as in the past, will the toasted rope have a higher percentage of Viognier? Or do you know the percentage yet?
It's usually anywhere from 8 to 15%. And it depends on the vintage.
All right.
The deal with the Viognier is it's always about 2 to 3 weeks ahead of the Syrah. So we have to kind of pull it back. And we do that right at the beginning of aeration. We put shade screen over the whole canopy, and that slows it down. So we're able, and we started doing this 3 years ago, and it's worked out. And I just think we're geniuses because we've been able to do that.
Okay, sorry, we're back to the Pajarito.
Okay.
Actually, really quick, we've had a
little bird, by the way, if you're wondering.
It means little bird, and I don't remember the history of that.
Well, we were going to call it Little Bird, but we found out that somebody else had trademarked Little Bird, so we just went to the Spanish.
And we couldn't do Big Bird.
Why are you going to call it Little Bird?
Because?
Okay, because Merlot is Blackbird in French, and Petit Verdot is the little gray. So Little Bird.
Wow, you pulled that one out.
And just really quick, you guys, Scott Olson came in with a question just to get things back on track with the 7200 blends that we're about to taste. Why don't y'all do a straight Merlot now and then from Scott?
You know, we try. If I had my druthers, I would absolutely put all the Merlot into one bottle. I love Merlot. I love our block at Vogelsang where we're getting it. It's kind of hillside. It's in that heavy clay and serpentine cobble. And it's just great Merlot. And of course, you know, Merlot came out of favor, not with us ever, but because of Pinot Noir did come into favor. But Merlot is this great variety and it makes wonderful wine. And if I could get more, I would do a bottling every year of straight Merlot. Well, that's how I feel about it.
In France, right, Billy? Merlot was the basis for most of the Bordeaux wines.
For the right bank, yeah. Saint-Emilion, Petrus.
Right.
Good questions today.
Good. I like this. Okay, range 30 West. Again, drink that Pajarito with some good
Gumbo.
And you can't beat Chef Rick's. On the menu, it says Dickie's Gumbo. But you could also get some little Billy cakes there too, and that'd go great with pajarita too. That's blackened tri-tip on jalapeno cheese rolls.
Yeah.
Just beautiful.
Brett Watterson had one more question about when you mentioned about the 2021 vintage of Pinot being outstanding. He was saying, what was it about it that really made it stand out to you in those barrel tastings?
Everything was in great shape.
Meaning?
And 21 again was a really comfortable vintage. No pressure, no fire alarms, no anything. So everything comes in comfortably. We make the wine comfortably and give it its best to do what it wants to do, and had no issues with fermentations.
So when you say it's showing great when you're tasting in the out of the barrel, what do you mean?
For the most part, everything, I think Bingo could agree.
Why don't you introduce Bingo?
Bingo and Caitlin, you gotta get.
Come on, Caitlin. Bingo, my son, assistant winemaker, and Caitlin, director of marketing.
Sure, yeah.
Anyway, I think the 21s are they seem to be so forward right now that we really enjoyed tasting them out of barrel.
We just racked those
yesterday. Well,
yesterday,
2 days ago.
Yeah, they just smelling them out of tank was awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, range, did that answer his question?
Yeah, and we have 2 questions actually specific for the cruise. Katie wants to know if the Foxen wines have left on their journey to Bordeaux yet for the cruise.
You can answer
and
that.
Also, are you planning on drinking any Petrus on your trip?
Katie, you can buy it.
No, that was from Scott.
From Scott.
Petrus. Katie was asking if the wines have left.
The wine actually left the winery late February due to supply issues and transportation issues. So it is, last we heard, it's on a ship.
Well, if it doesn't get there, Bingo and I will fly it over.
Yeah, we'll make sure it gets there.
It's just send us money to buy Petrus.
Bill wants to know who your mentors were starting
out.
For me,
both of you guys, any of you, all 3 of you.
First of all, Paul Fountain at Cal Poly, viticulture instructor. Dale Hampton, viticulturalist, who pretty much is the godfather of the Santa Maria Valley viticulture. And Dick Graff, who mentored me in winemaking and
who was
great wine growing, who was the proprietor of Chalone Vineyard when I was there in the late 70s, early 80s. And me.
Dick, any mentors you would?
Well, Billy was a mentor. He taught me how to drive a crawler back in the vineyard, back when I first went working in the wine business, and claimed that I knew how to drive it, but he found out real quick I didn't.
And
anyway,
after I had to replant like a couple of acres.
Yeah.
No, I just took out end posts.
So, and Bingo.
Mentors? Well, you're looking at them.
Also, you had some experience out of this area.
Yeah,
too,
I worked the harvest in France with Olivier Merlon in the Mâconnais region, and that was.
He's a wonderful man.
Yeah, very, very mentor-like to me. Very eye-opening. He makes like 90% Chardonnay, a little bit of Gamay and Pinot Noir, but the Chardonnays are off the wall, like total terroir-driven wines. Very good. Really cool experience. And other, met a few other producers in Burgundy. Dominique Lafon. Had lunch with him and Olivier one day. They're good friends, so that was really cool.
And they own a property now.
Yeah, they
together.
It's
the Grand Cru.
Chateau de Carte, it's called. Yeah, one property, their label. 100-year-old vines.
And did you go to New Zealand too and work down
No, I didn't.
No, that was David.
there? You went down here.
Yeah, it was David.
That was also me.
So
And Riley. Riley too. Do you want to talk a little bit about Foxen's origin story real quick?
What, the name?
Well, it just says, how did Foxen originate?
on a basketball court in 1985 with a ton of Cabernet Sauvignon
At Rancho Tinnaquah.
at Rancho Tinnaquah at Dick's Casa Verde.
Yeah, we'd taken 3 barrels, older barrels, and we had sterilized them and taken the heads off the barrels. And we bought a used Zambelli stemmer crusher and put it on top of the barrels and ran the fruit through there and hoped that it took out some stems, and then punched down with our arms and then pressed it in the back of a pickup truck because we didn't have any way to get the press off the back of the pickup truck. So we had some pretty humble beginnings. We're still pretty humble.
What did you sterilize stuff with back then?
Bleach.
Bleach, and then we put acid,
Citric acid.
citric acid.
Sounds like a
Sounds
chemistry
safe.
experiment.
Yeah.
And
These
then,
were, go on.
no, I was going to say the last wine is your range.
The range.
Yeah.
I love the kind of the, growing up as a kid, my dad smoked this, he was a pipe smoker, and he smoked this blend called plum cake. And this wine always reminds me of his plum cake tobacco. And I'd go with him downtown San Luis Obispo. We went into the cigar factory where he'd buy his tobacco, and
So that was
He'd
the
get
actual flavor of
he'd
the,
get it out of the big glass jar,
yeah.
and they'd package it for him. And yeah, so plum cake. And this, so I have a history with this wine. It's just plum cake for me. And Simone, our tasting room manager, and I talked about this because I thought about Hassenpfeffer for this, and she goes, "Oh, absolutely,
Hassenpfeffer.
Hassenpfeffer with Spätzle."
Oh, yeah.
And I
Is
think
that cheese?
Hassenpfeffer is rabbit.
Rabbit. Yeah,
yeah. Wabbit. It's Wabbit season.
So
Not before Easter.
range 30 West, by the way, are the geographical coordinates of Happy Canyon.
Yeah, USGS coordinates for Happy Canyon. This used to be, our history with this blend goes back to like 2000 when we made a wine called Foothills Reserve.
Mm-hmm.
And if anybody's got some of those, the 2001 is off the chart right now for the Foothills Reserve. And we called it Foothills Reserve for a while. And then we did a name change, and we got shut down on that name change by somebody from Napa. So we just said, well, wait a minute, what's the USGS coordinates for Happy Canyon? It was range 30 West. Okay, bingo, we got it, range 30 West. And it's a great proprietary name for us.
And the blend is Cabernet Franc from Happy Canyon, and this Franc comes from a vineyard called San Ynez Vineyard, which is a little bit east of Vogelsang, and then the Merlot is from Vogelsang.
And the breakdown of the two?
60-ish, 63 Cab Franc, 37 Merlot. So a right bank kind of style. Cab Franc being dominant, but I think the Merlot is just as dominant at a lower percentage because the Merlot just adds so much.
Mm-hmm. Brett Watterson's asking if you use Limousin oak for your barrels. Am I saying that right?
Limousin?
Limousin. Thank you.
We use French oak. It's hard to tell where the forest is these days on the barrels you get. But these barrels are called Center of France. So the forest is called Center of France. and they're
So isn't it more southwest than the Burgundian?
these are 36-month age staves in the yard, and they're thin stave barrels, so the wine has a tendency to oxidize a little more because the staves are about probably a ½ inch thinner. And the barrels are actually easier to work with now because you can lift them a little easier when they're empty. But I don't know, forest names are becoming obsolete because French oak is becoming so scarce and so expensive.
Scott Olson wants to know how long Dick and Bill poured in the tasting room, and when did they finally hire servers?
When did they?
Okay, this is a good story. Scott, go Dodgers. Dick and I worked the tasting room for I think a couple of years, and Dick would work Saturdays. He'd work from his front porch because he'd sit on his front porch and drink beer and wait to see if anybody drove by.
And we'd only get 2 or 3 people, a day.
And then I worked Sundays. And this one Sunday, I had a really bad limo experience. These people were really fucked up, really drunk. And
Excuse him.
and I had a really bad experience. And we were living in Naples at the time. So I had this drive home on the coast. And Monday morning I came to work, and Dick came over, and I go, "Hey, Dick, I've pretty much had it with this tasting stuff. I quit." He goes, "Well, you can't quit." And I go, "Well, I'm quitting right now." And Dick says, "Well, then I quit too." And we hired Sandy, who was
just at our
an employee and bartender at the Hitching Post and lived in Los Alamos. And she was our first employee. And I think that was about 1989 or 1990. Yep, okay. Anyway, that's
Sandy, by the way, was the character for Virginia Madsen in the movie Sideways. That who, when Rex Pickett would come to the winery during the day and sort of sit there, drink wine and lust after her. And then she would go that night to work at the Hitching Post, and he'd go down there and sit and lust. He was quite a luster.
Brett Watterson wants to know why you choose to use French oak instead of others, American.
Because French oak is the tightest grain and the best wood we can use to integrate with our wines. Okay, the Pajarito, we use Petit Verdot in American oak because it has this affinity for that vanilla and coconut. And I really like that. So the only use of non-French oak in Foxen is American oak barrels, 36-month age staves, and a nice medium toast. And you get that really nice vanilla and coconut, and Petit Verdot loves that. So there you go. But we have these great connections with the Coopers in Bordeaux, especially the Francois family, and my friend Bayard Fox, who has the Orion Tonnery, and Mookie Berg, who has the Tiernasol Cooper. There are these great relationships, and that's all part of it, is the relationships and not just the barrels. But the barrels are really good.
Questions?
All right. Any other questions?
Well, the
Did
four
we
wines
really get a chance to talk about, sorry, did we get a chance to talk about the Range 30 West, the Cabernet Franc and the Merlot and all that? Kind of talking about the wine and like pairings and things for it.
Oh, pairings, I said Hassenpfeffer, didn't I?
What do either of you
Easter
plan
bunny.
on? What do either of you plan on eating on Easter? Cooking and eating.
Dodger dogs, because I'll be at Dodger Stadium.
Classic.
I'm going to do a mixed grill, but I haven't quite decided. It should be a beautiful day, so I'm going to get out and barbecue.
Maybe a little lamb and
Lamb. Yes.
some pork.
Bill Spear wants to know if you've ever done 100% Viognier.
Oh, yeah.
We have.
Yeah.
Yes.
Long time ago.
Back in the day, we did Viognier from both what at the time was Rothberg Vineyard,
Mhm.
which was a really nice Viognier. It's just a little tiny 2-acre site along 246 Mission Drive, in a good spot for Viognier. And then we made Vauquezin Viognier for a couple of years. Yes, but Viognier is not on our radar.
We did a late harvest Viognier too.
And we still have some.
If you're interested.
It's really good. Are we good?
Yeah. Come on, guys, you must have questions. Well,
All right.
we're going to be shipping these out here in a couple of weeks, I guess.
These are all showing really well
They've already-
tonight.
And I'm sure
They're already in hand, honey. They've already received this
I want
shipment.
to keep talking. All right,
Thanks, and
All right.
good job.
So
Nice
are we
going.
good?
is it over? Goodbye.
Are we off?
I don't know.
Don't say it. Don't say it.